Welcome everybody to this monthly webinar where we are hosting the lovely Oliver on this month's webinar with me from Phonexa, and we'll get to Oliver in just a little minute. But if you're joining us on YouTube, welcome. If you are joining us on LinkedIn, it is great to have you here with us. Just a couple of little things before we get started, because we've got an immense amount of stuff to cram into today's webinar, and hopefully Oliver is going to be helping us to understand everything about AI agents and how to make them work in your business efficiently. But before we get started, I just wanted to kind of get into a couple of little housekeeping things, because we do have a very technically challenging webinar to deliver to you guys today. And as you know, we are live streaming. So if anything goes wrong, just refresh your screen. If we kind of freeze or the sound doesn't work out for you after a little bit, just come back into the webinar and everything should be back as it is and as per normal. If you want to ask us questions, please head on over to YouTube, because we will be using the live chat in the YouTube channel to answer questions. And I'm pretty sure that if you're interested in AI and creating agents and understanding where to plug these into your business, you're going to want to ask a lot of questions. So we're here for you and we're happy to answer them. I've already prepped Oliver for that if you're joining us. So yeah, just come on over to YouTube if you are joining us on LinkedIn Live. If you are here with us, can you give us a thumbs up on YouTube or on LinkedIn? I'm going to check both quickly just to make sure that we are streaming properly through all the channels. And then we will kind of crack on and get going with this really interesting webinar that we've got planned for you today. So for the next 45 minutes, we're going to be talking about AI, about agents, about how to leverage these into your business, no matter what industry you're working in. But before we get started, and while we're waiting for people to come and join us live, it would be really great for me and Oliver to understand who you are, where you're from, what industry you're working in, so we can try and make this webinar as relevant as possible for you guys today, and really just leave you with some tips, tools, and tricks that you can leverage into your business for understanding how you can work with Phonexa to make that happen. So head on over to the YouTube channel if you want to ask us questions during this session. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what your big struggle is with AI right now. Hopefully between us, we'll be able to help you kind of answer some of those things. And let's get started. So welcome to the buzz of what we are talking about today, which is AI agents, good, bad, and ugly. Are they good for your business? How do you use them? How do you implement them? We're talking with Phonexa because they've got a really, really cool tool that they're going to demonstrate and show here with us today. Oliver's going to give us a live demonstration as we go through all the topics that we're talking about. But I think before I get into anything else, and thank you all for joining us and giving me the thumbs up, you can hear us and see us, which is good to know. Let's get Oliver introduced. So Oliver, thank you for your patience while I've welcomed everybody in. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about Phonexa. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help people. And then let's get started. Over to you.
Of course. Thanks first of all, thanks for having me today, Leanne. I really appreciate it. So my name is Oliver. I'm the Chief Sales Officer here at Phonexa. And we're an all-in-one performance marketing suite, specifically geared for pay-per-lead and pay-per-call.
Yeah.
And we operate primarily in the UK and also primarily in the US as well. Most of the time, the businesses that we're working with are across either lead generators, lead aggregators, or advertisers that are ultimately purchasing leads or calls in. So that's a little bit about us, and our software is the engine, I suppose, that is behind a lot of that.
Okay, you're making it sound really simple, because when I looked at Phonexa and took a look under the hood, it has a whole bunch of other things that it does as well. But for the purposes of today, we're focusing on the AI components and the bits that help lead generators to actually automate and convert their calls. So whether you're doing paid media, whether you're doing email marketing, whether you're doing SEO, whatever it is that you're doing to drive traffic in and to funnel those leads in, we're going to kind of talk about how AI is leveraging and helping brands to convert those leads into sales. So don't for 1 minute think that Phonexa is only a one-trick pony. It's not. It's a very, very intelligent and robust tool. A lot of performance marketers use it as well. So hence why we're here today, just leveraging Oliver's knowledge in terms of, what Phonexa does to kind of build the infrastructure for brands that are looking to grow and scale their businesses en masse. And we're going to be talking about how AI agents come into that. But before we talk about that, I kind of want to talk about why AI is on the tip of everyone's tongue today. So do you want to maybe tell us how you've seen the industry transition and why more and more customers have asked you to create these tools.
Yeah, I think it's not just exclusive to performance marketing or marketing in general. Like AI has absolutely exploded across all industries to some degree.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's one of those tools that is so prominent and so available that actually, if we're not making use of it, then we're falling behind. So in terms of how how I think that AI is best used, is that it shouldn't be a replacement for human interaction. It shouldn't be a replacement for what we do, but it is a really useful co-pilot to support activities across anything that you happen to be doing.
I think that's true. I've been to a lot of events recently where people are getting a little bit more conscientious about where and how to use AI in their businesses. And there've been a lot of like news stories. I think Klarna kind of replaced a whole bunch of their customer support team, put AI agents in, and then had to kind of recall it all back because it didn't quite work as planned. So we're still testing all of this technology, all of these tools, and understanding how best to fit them in without damaging the user experience. And we're going to kind of like show that user experience a little bit later in the webinar. But the other thing is that it also, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It doesn't replace humans. That's not what we are leveraging the technology of artificial intelligence to do. What we're trying to do is kind of like give more administrative tasks, easier processes, simpler processes, quicker processes to get the jobs done, that then enable users to have a better user experience and get to the information or the contact or person or whatever it is that they're trying to get through that funnel quicker. So let's talk a little bit about the capabilities of AI, because one, it can answer questions, two, it can find information. But what are some of the other things that you're seeing AI tools leverage and work in across the verticals that you guys operate in, which is quite vast?
Yeah, so one of the big things that, and I'll sort of demonstrate this in a little while, but one of the things that we've used it for is qualification or data collection. So this can be, when a consumer is having to answer a variety of questions to qualify the lead or the call, is actually, rather than that having to be done by either a local call center or an offshore call center or something like that, prior to a hot transfer taking place, that can actually be done automatically via AI, which ultimately means that staffing costs are down, and we can still route calls into a sales team that have been qualified and that have gone through that same round of qualification. Also, it can be used in a sense where it's answering things like FAQs and that kind of thing, which again is taking away some of the repetitive tasks that are being done currently by humans. So that the consumer is still able to get the information that they require. They're not having to sit on hold to speak to somebody to get that information. They can get it immediately, because obviously you haven't got the bottleneck of bums on seats. And they ultimately, if they do still have something that can't be handled by AI, there is still that option to be routed through to a human.
And in terms of use cases, have you seen any really creative use cases from some of the clients that have kind of utilized the tool that you're going to show us in a little bit? That's really been like mind-blowing for you, that you've gone, wow, like they've really solved a problem or a challenge using the technology in a way that maybe you didn't even think you could use it. Have you seen any of those kind of like interesting use cases come to the fore yet?
Yeah, there's been a couple, to be honest. So where I would define our AI call agents is it is halfway between the traditional IVR that we're known and used to, which is press 1 for this, press 2 for that, key in this, and that kind of static IVR that we've probably all experienced at some point. And also it's halfway between that and halfway between actually speaking to somebody and capturing information that way. The advantage that we see with AI agents is that it can still capture that rich data. you're not limited to only being able to key in numerical data or yes, no type answers, press 1 for this, 2 for that.
The binary.
It opens up the ability to be able to capture rich data. So you can capture name, email address, and anything else that you particularly want to. And off the back of that, some of the things that we've seen is triggering email marketing campaigns off the back of an inbound call. So somebody's phoning in, they're giving an email address over the phone, and they're opting in via the phone. Do you consent to us being able to send email to you, or etc. And that being automatically funneled into our email and SMS software, 𝘲𝘪𝘮, and start that email drip campaign. So things like that wouldn't have otherwise been possible with a traditional IBR.
One call, and I guess also upselling and cross-selling products too. So if the call if the call goes through to an agent, they maybe don't get the sale for whatever reason, the client wants to think about it. The email campaign can then follow up and close that sale, and obviously increase conversion, and all the systems are connected. Whereas in the past, you'd have to go into one funnel, somebody would have to trigger something else to get you into another funnel, or maybe that funnel just ended at the end of that funnel and it didn't go anywhere else. So it kind of opens you up to having a much longer narrative with the customer that's engaged at the first touch point, and then move them down that funnel to, either upsell or cross-sell other products as well, which sales teams haven't had up until this point. Like, it's been quite complex. The funnel system and the way that flows are built have been quite complex, but they've always ended at some point, and there's nothing that drops them back up into the top flow again. So I think that's quite interesting, and I think it's going to give, really clever marketers a very competitive edge. So let's delve a little bit deeper into kind of like, AI agents in performance and lead gen marketing and paid marketing as well, because we're covering all three sectors today. But what are some of the best practices that people need to be thinking about if they do want to institute AI agents in their business? Because one, you want to become efficient, but two, you don't want to give users a really poor user experience, because then that impacts your brand negatively. So what kind of best practices can you recommend to people before they get started with building AI agents? What do they need to think about?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose what AI, and we've sort of already covered this to some extent, is that AI isn't a replacement for humans. So we're not talking about replacing a closing role or something like that, where somebody is actually having to do a lot of back and forth with the consumer. Where this needs to be placed into a business is stuff that is easy to repeat and is easy for AI to be able to handle. Apologies about the notifications. I'm trying to turn them off, but they're not turning off.
No, we need them on for the sound later.
So but it essentially is a way that the best thing to do here is to look at areas of your business that are time consuming and are repetitive. And if you're able to implement AI to automate those areas, then it frees up the most skilled people in your business to work on things where actually AI isn't able to handle.
Okay. So look at the smaller tasks, the mundane tasks, the things that don't really require human interaction, and start trying to automate those processes and flows first, and keep it quite simple. Because a lot of people are getting overwhelmed. They're getting AI overwhelmed. Everybody says, hey, you need to be using AI. Everybody says, if you're not using it right now, you're going to be falling behind. I don't know how many of you have heard that or seen that ad on LinkedIn or Insta or wherever you are about, every 40-year-old is using ChatGPT wrong. I mean, that ad is freaking everywhere. But like, it really is overwhelming. And I think we just need to think about it in a simple step. So, and also think about data and quality. Like, what are the things that you're trying to improve in that customer journey flow from first touch point all the way down to human call when the sale is happening for whatever product or service you're selling. And for SaaS products as well, for SaaS companies, this is quite interesting, because a lot of SaaS companies go to market and they try and automate everything. And I think AI is helping them to do that a little bit more efficiently and effectively. And in a little bit, when you give us the demonstration, because I have seen this before we've come onto the webinar, we'll talk about some of the human characteristics that you can build into your AI agent as well, to make that user flow a little bit more customer friendly, you know, so you don't, because the worst thing that you can do is build over automate everything so that the customer never gets to see or hear you or interact with you as a business and as a brand. So really thinking about those stages and thinking about what parts you want to try and, you know, incrementally improve and increase and make more efficient so that the customer ends up getting a better experience and reaction to your brand, whether that's a first touch point or a repeat call, depending on what it is that you're selling. I think that's a really good place to start. And you don't have to do everything all at once, right? You can kind of layer these AI agents in at different touch points throughout that consumer journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about challenges and best practices before we actually give us the demo, because I think a lot of people, so we've kind of convinced them, you can, you know, befriend AI, you can think about how you want to put it into your business. What are the successful use cases? So you've mentioned things like tasks that are repetitive, things that, you know, are easy to understand, but what are some of the cool use cases that you've seen where people have taken AI just a step further? Have you seen anything like lately that's kind of caught your attention?
Yeah, of course. So a use case that we're currently working on with a client is that they're basically in insurance in the US. So they generate inbound calls for insurance, and the way that they currently have to do this is that they will run various media buying across Google, Meta, and some others.
Yeah.
They will drive the consumer to a landing page.
Okay.
On that landing page, they will capture some of the data about the consumer via a form.
Yeah.
And off the back of that form, the consumer then dials in, and they will then route the call and the lead data to the client that's receiving the call. Now, the issue that they have here is that they are very limited in the type of campaigns that they're able to run.
Okay.
And they're only able to run traffic to their site because they need to capture that data via a form. They're completely missing out on features like click-to-call ads, which typically deliver a lower cost per call, and they can drive, you know, more volume. And it's just an area that they're completely unable to tap into because they capture that rich data about the consumer. So by implementing AI agent, what they're now able to do is they're able to run different types of ads that previously they were completely unable to, because they can capture that data from the consumer live on the call rather than having to capture it on that form.
And also, I guess that would help with people with, like, you know, difficulties. So if you're blind, you can't fill out a form. So how do you, you know, get into the funnel in the first place? So I think it opens up a whole bunch of other mechanics and channels that you can kind of leverage into, because, and this is such an interesting topic, because there's a lot of people that are questioning, like, what is the funnel now? Because the funnel isn't any one place. You know, 10 years ago, we went to Google, and then from Google, we would go and see, you know, multiple different sites, and then we'd spin off to a site or a blog or a forum or a whatever, and then from there go down further down into the funnel to actually get converted to something. Now there is no one place to start. Now we've got AI, we've got TikTok, we've got YouTube, we've got Instagram, Facebook, Meta, whatever. There's too many tops of funnels, and how do you build the leverage to get them all down to that one landing page to fill out all of that information? And so this is another area where I see where AI agents can step in and actually push that customer through that purchasing journey or exploration journey or awareness journey, and finally funnel them through in a very easy, simplistic way without making it seem overcomplicated and you know, time consuming or lengthy, because you can integrate all of those platforms and agents together to then drop them down further into that funnel. So I hope that what I'm saying there is making sense. But if you think about it as a mind map, it's kind of like very broad now. It's not just one place to enter and then drop down linearly. It's kind of like you're entering in multiple places and then still have to get them to drop down linearly. So it becomes a little bit more complex. What are some of the common mistakes to avoid when you're setting up AI agents? Like, have you seen anybody really do this badly out there in the Ethernet? Not necessarily with your product, but just because you're in this space, you're looking at it all the time. Have you seen anybody do something that was really bad?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to avoid doing something bad is just thorough testing.
Okay.
make sure that before you're deploying this to to consumers or as a representative of your brand, is that you need to test it thoroughly. I can't think of any.
Is that with live clients, or do you just get 5 people to test it and ask different questions?
Yeah, so that can be internal testing, that can be external testing, that can be made up in a variety of different ways. I know that for the product that we're obviously going to show today, AI call agents, we've done internal testing, we've done beta releases with select customers, we've done to get feedback. You just need to do this stuff because it can, the thing with AI is that obviously it can behave in ways that it wants to. So I think, what do they call it? Hallucinating. AI can hallucinate and make up facts that don't exist and stuff. So the last thing you want it doing is doing that about your brand or about your business or whatever, and telling consumers things that simply aren't true. And the only way to really do that is, one, is to test, but also is to ensure that you are putting in some kind of guardrail, so that the AI is operating within a set
parameter.
It's not sort of going off in its own direction.
So does that mean that you have to feed it lots of scripting and prompting? Because you probably need to be very, very clear on what your prompts are and what the answers are. And especially now with kind of regulation in European markets, for sure. I'm not so sure about what's happening in the US, but here there's a lot of talk about being upfront and honest with consumers to say, either this content has been created using AI tools, or you are now going to be referred to an AI agent that can answer some of these questions. And it's no different to like when you call in. I mean, I'm going to use my doctor as an example. My doctor has a really sophisticated surgery. When you call in to make an appointment, there are like a million options that you can have in order to get your question answered as quickly as possible. And then eventually you get to a human if it can no longer answer your questions. So I guess the same rules apply with AI. Is think about how far along that AI is going to take the customer on their search journey, inquiry journey, Q&A, sense checking journey, whatever it is that you're putting the AI in to do. And then at some point realize, okay, that's where the AI ends and a human interaction now needs to begin. And don't try and over automate everything, because ultimately all that's going to do is just give the user a really bad experience. What about impact and measurement metrics? Like, what sort of metrics should you be looking at if you are going to build an AI agent for your business and you are going to implement it on tasks and things that can be easily automated and are repetitive, because that's the guidelines that you've given us? What impact and measurement metrics should you be looking at after the implementation?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I suppose it really depends on where in the business that you're implementing this.
Okay.
So again, I'll use an example of a client that we've been working with, and there's a few metrics that they've used to be able to judge whether it was a success or not.
Yeah.
Now, the concern they sort of had here is that, well, let me just frame this first. They did have a call center that was dialing through data to try and cross-sell it to a different product.
Okay.
They would call the data, they would ask a few questions, cross-sell it, and if the consumer was interested, they would then route that call to a client that would pick it up and handle it from there as a hot transfer. And they wanted to test doing that on an automated basis via an AI agent. Now, the thing is here is that we're not comparing like for like. Obviously, a call center has a fairly sizable cost for people that are actually going to be there and that are going to be able to make the calls. It also has a bottleneck of how many calls can actually be made in any given time.
Yeah.
A few factors there that aren't like for like. So the what they were testing here is actually around the overall ROI of how it was delivering. So they were happy to take some hit on potential conversion, because let's be honest, an AI isn't going to be able to objection handle and things like that in the same way that, a live trained experienced salesperson
human. Yeah.
But ultimately an AI can make far more calls, doesn't have as much cost, doesn't expect breaks, doesn't expect
Doesn't need lunch break.
exactly. So there's a trade-off there.
Yeah.
So they were trying to measure, right, how many calls are being made, what's the conversion rate of those calls that are going through to a hotkey, how many calls are being, how many are being lost, so that they're measuring all these different metrics, but boiled down to the end is, right, what is the return for every 100 records that we spend, we buy? How much does it cost us to then convert them, and how much profit do we make on those conversions? AI had a lower conversion rate overall, but because the cost was so much lower, actually the ROI was better. So it depends on what you're trying to replace and what metrics to take into account, but that's obviously a scenario there.
And I guess the other thing to think about is, like, can your business actually leverage AI? Like, is your business or is your product a complex product to sell? In which case, no, you're going to need a human who's going to, use the emotive sale, the quantitative sale. If it's just a straight up yes, no, then possibly yes. An AI agent can direct you to the right, product, and then push you down the sales journey and answer any questions about the sale. So I guess you have to think quite literally, like, if I was buying my product, where would an AI agent conversation end and where would a human conversation start, and not overlap that boundary?
I think that's
what
about
after you've built an AI agent, like, what can you, like, do improvements and iterations? So in your product, for example, if you've built a flow, if you start to measure these metrics and you see, hey, at this point it's actually failing, maybe we need to take the rest of this out and actually put the hotkey in there. Is it quite easy to change that after it's built, or is it like a whole development process?
No, 100%. It's easy to chop and change. Whether that's changing the order that the questions are asked, whether that's adding more context to the knowledge base for the AI agent to be able to draw from, whether that is reducing or increasing the number of questions that are being asked by the agent. There's lots of stuff that you can do there, for sure, and that's all very easy to be able to do.
Okay, so we've got some questions, and then we're going to get into the demos. So MJ, stand by for a minute. Quite a lot of chatter on the live chat. So thanks, guys, for being here with us. Oliver, if you don't mind, I'm going to just take a quick break and answer some of these questions with you. So Evangelos, and everybody else that's been pinging as well, thank you so much for getting into the chat and telling us that you're loving the content. We love having you guys here with us today. Evangelos has asked, super content, thanks for doing this. It's our pleasure. What is the difference between calls versus email? So I guess he's asking, what's the difference between a call AI agent and an email-based AI agent? Can you maybe just explain that?
Yeah, of course. So just to clarify here, Phonexa as a product, we don't offer an email agent. Although I have seen clients of ours that have leveraged things like ChatGPT's API and connected it with our email. So there is stuff that you can do, but essentially an email agent is just going to receive an email and then write a response based on a prompt. So using things like Zapier or Make.com or those kinds of things, you can build those types of things pretty easily. But essentially, it's just going to, so that, let's say as an example that we were going to run an email in Gmail. Email is received. A Zapier Zap would pick up that an email has been received,
bring it
in, take the body of that and push it to the ChatGPT API. That API would then write a response and then ping it back to Gmail via Zapier again to send it. So you can then get a back and forth. The only issue with something like that is that obviously you are relying, it's difficult to put in those guardrails in a scenario like that, because the API and ChatGPT can obviously go off in any direction that it really sees fit. With a call agent, which obviously we'll get onto, that is that's a voice-based agent that is picking up the phone, answering questions via voice, and is taking information and storing that data and using that data to then either route the call correctly or qualify it in or out or that kind of thing.
Okay, so maybe it's good because we're getting some more questions here. Guys, if you're on LinkedIn, please head over to the YouTube chat, because I can only answer questions and pick them up from the YouTube chat today, just because we've got a whole bunch of technical stuff happening here in the next minute or two. What we're going to do is ask you, Oliver, to share your screen and actually show us how the AI call agent works. So while you share your screen and while MJ gets that up, if anybody's got any questions, please can you put your questions into the YouTube chat so that we can pick you up. I see you there, and I can see you guys are loving the content that we're sharing. So MJ, if we can get Oliver's screen up, and we will actually give you a live demo of what an AI call agent does. And please, if it doesn't work, we have tested this about 5 million times before the live stream, but here we go. Oliver, the moment is yours.
So we'll pick up.
Hi, your AI-powered agent is ready to assist you. Could you please provide your coverage amount?
Yes, would you like that in dollars?
Yes, please provide the coverage amount in dollars.
$500,000.
Thank you. Could you please provide your date of birth?
Why do you need my date of birth?
Age is one of the main factors insurers use to determine life insurance premiums. Younger applicants typically pay less because they are considered lower risk. Could you please provide your date of birth?
The 21st of August, 1992.
Thank you. Could you please specify your gender?
Yes, I'm a man.
Thank you. What type of insurance are you interested in? Term life, whole life, universal life?
Can you explain term life for me, please?
Term life insurance provides coverage for a set period, usually between 10 to 30 years. It's more affordable and ideal for temporary coverage needs. If you pass away during the term, your beneficiaries receive the death benefit. If you outlive the term, the coverage ends, but you can renew or convert it to a permanent policy, though premiums may increase. Which type of insurance would you like to choose?
Term, please.
Thank you. Are you currently insured? Yes or no?
I'm not, no.
Thank you. Do you engage in any dangerous activities? Yes or no?
What would you consider as dangerous activities?
Dangerous activities typically include things like skydiving, scuba diving, rock climbing, or any other high-risk sports or hobbies. Do you engage in any such activities? Yes or no?
Would bungee jumping count as a dangerous activity?
Yes, bungee jumping is generally considered a dangerous activity. Do you engage in bungee jumping or any similar activities? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Has anyone in your family had a stroke? Yes or no?
Yes, my cousin's brother has.
Medical condition?
I don't have any medical conditions, no.
Thank you. Do you use tobacco products? Yes or no?
Does that count vaping as well?
Yes, vaping is generally considered a form of tobacco use. Do you use any tobacco products, including vaping? Yes or no?
Yes. So that's a demonstration of AI agents. So what it can be used for is obviously data collection, but also it can be used to answer the consumer's questions. So it can be used for pre-qualifying the call before it is routed to a live agent, capturing data that can then be used to route the call, or a variety of other use cases as well. I hope that's helpful. Thanks.
12 months from now, where do you see this kind of technology developing to? Because obviously you guys are at the cutting edge. You're kind of like implementing all of these tools for your clients, and you're doing it across multiple different verticals and industries as well. So what do you think 12 months from now, the situation with AI agents is going to, do you think it's going to be like part of everyday life, or do you think people are still going to be adopting slowly but surely?
Yeah, I think over if we look at the previous 12 months, you know, AI has absolutely exploded over the last 12 months, and we seem to be seeing AI added to you know, a lot of tools. Sometimes it's great, other times maybe not so necessary.
Yeah.
I think that will settle down a little bit, and we will start to see it really refined in some areas and maybe removed from others. As we sort of become more accustomed to how consumers interact with it, how we interact with it. So I think whether we're going to see, we're going to see new models, I imagine, that are faster and that are able to give better answers and that are able to give more context over longer periods and all this kind of stuff. But I think the main thing we're going to see is it now being refined. It is actually seeing better products that are delivered better than what we've seen over the last 12 months.
Well, not only that, I think it's also going to deliver a lot of data and learnings to us in terms of how we can adjust our customer flows, how we can adjust the sales processes that we put in place, what steps we can cut out to make the sale convert faster. Things like that, I think, are also going to be quite relevant, but we can only look at that retroactively after it's happened. So if you're getting in now and you are leveraging tools like Phonexa to actually bring you all of this incremental, tiny micro data pieces, you're probably going to find in 12 months' time you're outstripping your competitors because you've already gathered the intel, done the testing, and have the data to leverage to make the improvements in your sales process. As we close off this webinar today, and I really do apologize that the stream hasn't worked and hasn't been able to show you the power of what this AI agent can do, but we will share it with you afterwards in maybe we can do either a live Zoom and invite you guys in, or we can do a video loom or something where it actually can record the sound both ways. What are some of the lead gen and paid media tips for new adopters? What's like, give us just 3 things that you think clients should be doing right now, other than scanning the QR code to book a free demo with you. But what are some of the other things that you think you need to tell people before we kind of close down this webinar today?
Yeah, of course. I think if you're if you're in lead gen or you're doing media buying, for me, I would be looking at all the tasks that I spend time doing on a routine tasks.
Yeah.
So every time that I'm checking certain things or I'm having to do those repetitive things, I imagine that we've all got repeat tasks in our calendar that we do every week or every month, that actually we could probably automate via AI. They're the things we're looking at. So identify what those things are that you could potentially automate with AI, and then start testing some of those. Start small and then build up, because ultimately it's a time saving tool.
Yeah.
Time is so valuable, and if we can invest that time in other things like building better partnerships, or speaking to more people, or attending more events, or whatever, then that's really valuable for business.
Well, even just, I'm thinking like languages, because today I had an incident where a client had asked us about our training program. We gave them the answers, then directed them to the FAQs, which, I mean, I think our team has done a pretty good job putting together really detailed FAQs about how our training works. And they still came back to me with another email going, okay, so when are the session times each week? And the more we try to explain that it's a video course and you can download it your own and press play whenever you want to press play, the more they were asking how much time do I need to set aside in my diary to come to the training? And we're like, it's on demand. You can do it whenever you want. And even though they had the FAQs, they had the email, they had, the conversation about it's a video course, they still didn't understand that it was, a drip fed course. You could press play whenever you wanted to press play. Once you're in the platform, you can download it and do it at your own pace. So like even just having AI agents to answer all of that. And that was like, 30 minutes. And what can you do with 30 minutes in a day? You can, write a really powerful sales email. There's so many other things that you can be doing. So if you can find ways to automate this stuff, it's great. Thanks, Evangelos, for understanding. Yes, we are aware that StreamYard doesn't like third lines of content, but we are definitely going to give you guys a full demo of what this AI agent can do. If you are interested in coming to a live Zoom, we'll probably get you guys to just click a button and come and join us, but we'll also get it pre-recorded for you guys so that you can hear it in full, because it really was spectacular. And the things that really surprised me when I listened to the full conversation, which you guys only got a third of, is just how realistic it did sound and just how well it had been programmed. So Phonexa's tool can do all of these things for you. You don't need to have serious coding abilities. Anybody can build it if you understand how to set the parameters, because that's the most important thing. The inputs are really important. So I'd highly recommend that you go and scan the QR code that's up on your screen. Go and get a demo just to understand what it does, even if it's just for your own learnings before you need to implement it anywhere. And really take some of Oliver's advice in terms of understanding what parts of your sales funnel and sales journey and customer journey can you use AI agents in, because it's not necessary to do it everywhere all at once and be omnipresent. So Oliver, it has been a real pleasure to have you on this webinar. I'm sorry that the tech didn't go your way, even though we had tested it just before we got on the live. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this, and thank you for your questions as well. If you were on the LinkedIn live stream, you didn't get to ask questions today, you can always email us. Oliver is, I think we've got your details on the next slide. This is absolutely everything. So you can scan these QR codes. You can learn more about call agents. You can connect with Oliver on LinkedIn. You can email him. I mean, the only thing he hasn't given you here is his WhatsApp number, but you can pretty much get in touch with him through all of these QR codes. Anything else that you want to share with our audience today, Oliver, while we've got them captured here for your attention?
No, I think if you are interested in learning more about call agents and how they work, we can demo it over Google Meet, no problem at all. A one-to-one demo, if it's something that you think is valuable for your business, more than happy to do that.
And in the demo, just quickly, if somebody books a demo, you're not just going to showcase the tool, but you'll actually give them some advice on how to actually implement it if they're not really sure which parts of the funnel to kind of put it into. Is that part of your service?
100%. So we can give some guidance around how to utilize Phonexa, and we do provide an onboarding manager and a customer success manager and stuff like that to help optimize usage of the system as well. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, the only thing that's left for me to say is I wish I worked in calls and lead gen, because it sounds like an exciting time and I'd love to be able to tinker around with this product, but we still deal on email. So I'm really excited to see how this product develops. And like I said, Phonexa isn't a simple product. It's quite a robust product that can integrate into multiple parts of your business. So go and check it out. And thank you so much for being here with us today, Oliver. It's been a pleasure to have you on this month's webinar.
No, the pleasure.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We love having you here. Take care, guys.